Hey everyone, it's Mike from Rogala Photography here. Today, what I want to do is with fall right around the corner, leaves are going to change before you know it. Matter of fact, in some areas, they're already starting to change. Um, just want to give you a refresher on how to edit your fall photos so you can get the most bang for your buck out of the color. A lot of times when we get our photos out of the camera, the fall colors like you're like, I don't remember it looking that dull. Well, a lot of times it happens, especially if you're shooting raw. It's really gonna kind of like not look exactly how you saw it. So what I want to do today is bring all that color back into your raw photos. So anyway, this right here is a photo that it's from Letchworth State Park. They call it the Grand Canyon of the Northeast. It's in New York State, and this was an early morning. The sun was just starting to come up over here, and a couple clouds in the sky. We got the fog down here. I already just did the basic edits here. So here you go. I did an adaptive color, and then I just went and kind of tweaked what it gave me here. And then I did some sharpening. This generally is my standard sharpening that I do for landscapes. Portraits, I do a little bit different. Landscapes, I kind of just bring the radius down, detail all the way up, and then I mask. Definitely want to mask, because if you don't do that, what's going to happen is if you look, if I hold down the option key and I move my mask, you can see all the noise that might be on the small, fine detail in the photo that you really don't want sharpened. So I mask all that out just so um, I only get what I want sharpened. And just so you know how I did that, I held on the Mac, I held down my option key, and then when I did the mask slider, I'm able to um, do that right there. So anyway, basics already done. I'm going to do a few other things in a minute, but right now, the first one I want to do, this I'm telling you right now is probably the best tool to work with color that wasn't really intended to actually edit photos. There's actually more to calibrate your camera colors. Okay. But now that we got profiles and stuff like that, you really don't need it for that. But it works fantastic for tweaking your colors, especially the fall colors. So I'm going to come down here to the blue, and I'm going to bring that down just a little bit. Okay, like that. Bring up the saturation, and you're already starting to see those colors pop. Now the red primary, that was the blue primary. Here's the red primary. And again, you just want to play with it back and forth to see what you get. Like if you go to the right, you're going to get more yellows and greens. If you go to the left, you're going to get more of the oranges and the reds. So that's what we kind of want right here. And then same thing here. We want to go, if we go to the right, we're going to get more, this is going to get more reds that way actually. And if you go to the left, you're going to get more yellows and greens. So we want to go a little bit. So again, right here, just by that one tool, before, after. Actually, I want to do this. I want to bring that down a little bit because I do have kind of a green tint, which I don't want. So actually what I'm going to do is, let me see, I might just take the green to the yellow and do that right there. There we go. We're going to fix all that anyway later on. So that was just one module right there. And we've already done all that. So that's calibration. The next one is your color mixer. Now, the old way of doing it was to use your sliders and go through each one, or you could pick your tool over here and then you select the color you want. So let me see if I want more of these reds. I hold it down and I can bring it down or up, and it'll make those colors pop that way. And if you look at the sliders over here on the right, you'll see which ones are moving for that color, okay? And if I go over here to the blue and I do that, same thing. You'll see which ones are moving. So let me just reset all these because we are going to use, it's not really new. It's been around for about a year or so. It's called point color. And just like it says, what you want to do is you're going to click this eyedropper, and now you can go around and you could pick the colors that you want to work with here. So I'm going to pick this yellow right here. And you can see here, this is the range of the color we got. And what I want to do is I want to bring it more towards the orange, not too much though. I want to increase some saturation, but again, it's a very powerful tool. And then I want to brighten them up a little bit, and again, just that one color, you can see the difference right there, before and after. And the cool thing is here that I can do up to 8 swatches. These little squares here are called swatches. So now what I want to do is I want to bring this reds in here. And now I want to, let me see, do I want to shift them more to the right? See, if you go too crazy, you can see it looks so unnatural. But I am going to just a little bit right there, increase the saturation up. And then I'm going to, do I want to make them brighter? Yeah, we want to brighten them up a little bit there. Okay. And then now, let me see, I'm going to do another one. I'm actually going to do the sky. All right. And then I'm going to take this slightly over to the cyan, just a little bit. Saturate it a little bit there. And do I want to brighten? I want to darken it up a little bit. Okay. And let me see. Also, one other one I want to do are the greens. People actually, they don't actually want to edit the greens in the fall. You want that contrast, okay? You want the greens to show. So let me see here. Oh, it's telling me it cannot sample here. I need to pick a brighter area. So let me pick this screen over here. There we go. All right, so what I want to do is I want to increase the green. Do I want to go up a little bit? Yeah, I want to make them pop a little bit. So I want a little bit more green. I want to saturate it. Now, do I want to go lighter or darker? I want to go a little bit lighter. See that difference right there? That just completely, see, too dark. It's too dark in the shadows like that. But now you're making them pop with the colors. And we're gonna actually modify this a little bit here. We're gonna go over into the mixer now, go into the saturation, and I am gonna pick up the orange, and I want to kind of make those oranges pop. I want to make the yellows pop a little bit. The green, I'm going to leave that there for now. The red, let's get that a little bit darker. Any magenta in here? Yeah, we want to get some magenta in there. And any purples? There's some purple in there. Cyan, no, we'll leave it right there. Now with the luminance, same thing. We've already kind of got some of them here. So we're just going to brighten up the yellows. We're going to brighten up those oranges a little bit. Oh, I'm on saturation. Sorry about that. There we go. I want to brighten up the yellows. I want to brighten up the oranges. Let me see. No, oranges I want to go darker a little bit. And red, let's go right there. That would make them pop. And then blues, do we want to brighten? No, we want to go a little bit darker there. And then aqua, we're good with that one. And the greens, again. And again, when you use these two together, the mixer and then the HSL, you have a very powerful tool to use for color. I mean, you can kind of see, here's a before. Oops, what happened here? Oop, where'd my photo go? There it is right there. Okay, so I hit the wrong button. There's before, okay, that's what it looked like when I took the photo. And then there's after, okay? So, big changes already. Now I want to go into color grading, This is where you can add color where you want. So you can add it into the shadows, you can add it into midtones or into the highlights, and then you can also do a global color add. So what I'm going to do here first is the highlights, and I'm going to come down here to the hue, and I'm going to add some orangish red into the highlights, and then I'm going to take the saturation button, and you can see my sunrise. And I'm gonna pop it up there a little bit. And actually what I want to do is I want to bring this over more toward the yellowish. I don't want to go too, and I can brighten or darken. I'm going to keep it brighter right there. Saturation, I want to go all the way. I can go pretty good with this one. That's actually pretty good. And we're going to counter that in a second here when we work on the shadows. It is getting kind of warm, which it was a sunrise, so it will be warmer. But we're going to go into the darks, the shadows, and I want to take this over into the blues, like right about there, I should say. And we're going to add some blue into the shadows, and you can see that kind of toned down the the warmth that we had. So, and I'm also going to go darker with it a little bit here, like that. Let me see. Do I want to add a little bit more blue? Don't want to go too much. You know, again, it's just enough, just enough. And then we can come into the mid-tones. And again, we're going to add some warmth into the mids. And again, that's going to kind of balance out what we have with the highlights and the shadows. Okay. Now, if you want to, you can come on over here to global, and you can add, we would probably add a little bit of yellow in there. Let's see what that would look like. Yeah, that's a little too much. Let me bring that down a little bit here. And then we're going to bring that up brighter. See, that's really, really making it pop. Looking really, really good there. So again, before, after, before, after. Amazing, okay? And we haven't even done any local or masking or anything yet. All we've done so far is the, whatchamacallit, what did I do with my, oh, there they are up there. Okay, sorry about that. But we are going to go into localized masking now. So I'm going to come out here to the masks, and I'm going to start with a linear gradient, and I'm going to bring it down right to here about, and I'm going to add some blues back into there because, like I said, I did warm it up a little, quite a bit there. And I'm also going to darken it up a little bit because, again, this was dusk, or I should say dusk, it was dawn. And then we're going to do that right there. And then what we could do is we can maybe add a little tiny bit of dehaze. Don't want to go too crazy because you can see, going to get some fringing in here. So actually, you know, let's take that out of there. And then let's brighten this up just a tad. Okay, and you know what I'm going to do? I am going to come back over to here to the color grading. So here, you can always go back. Always go back. I'm going to bring the saturation down a little bit right there because I was getting some fringing going on into the sky. So back it off a little bit. We can increase it a little bit later. So anyway, come back in the masking here. So that really made a big difference right there. So now what we're going to do is add another linear gradient. And I think we're going to bring it over to here because if you look, the sun is coming from over here. This would not be as bright. This would stay bright all in here. But this over here would be a little bit darker. So let's bring that down just a tiny bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring this mask up a little bit. We can also bring in some whites, and that's going to make those brighter colors pop a little bit. Saturation, bring the saturation down a little bit. Don't want to do the blacks. Maybe we can open up the blacks a little bit. Maybe a little bit of blue. Again, not too much. We don't want to lose all that color that we just added into there. So there's that one. Now I want to do my favorite radial gradient. I'm going to increase this up. Oh, that's the feather, yep. So I want a feather, it's about 75 or so. And then I'm going to, right over in here, I want to make that fog pop just a little bit. So we're going to make it brighter. We're going to come down to dehaze, and we're going to add a little bit more. And then we're going to go blacks, and we're going to kind of open up the blacks a little bit. And you can kind of see how that mask right there, before and after. And I want to add a little bit of warmth into that right there. And actually, I'm going to kind of bring those whites down just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to add some contrast back in there. There we go. Okay. So that did a lot right there. Oh, let's see. What else can we do here? We can add another radial gradient. All right. And what we're going to do here is we're going to add it right here for now. But then I'm going to hold down Command, And then I'm going to make this smaller. So now we can see where this is here. And we want to turn it. And we want that kind of off of there. And then we're going to bring that out like that. Just like that. And then now we can hit Command. And then it's the equal sign board. So it's a plus I'm holding here. And then now what we can do is we can add some of that warmth back in. We can add a little bit of magenta into there. Not a lot. Okay, let me see. Do we want to bring the highlights down? Yeah, let's bring the highlights down a little bit. And then we want to open up the blacks. Get a little bit of a haze in there. And the same thing with the dehaze. See, now we can add a little bit more warmth. Oh, that's looking good right there. And then the saturation. Do we want to go contrast here? No, we don't want to do any contrast. Highlights, we're going to go down. Yeah, not too much. We're going to go down a little bit, -3. Open up those shadows a little bit so you can see right here how it got really bright. You know, again, you can see the difference here. There's before and there's after. Really, really open that up right there. Let me see, what else can we do here? I'm going to do one more mask right here. Actually, I'm going to do two more. I'm going to do a linear, and I'm going to kind of bring this a little bit right there. I am going to kind of darken it up just a tad. And then again, I want to open up the white so I don't lose that color. Add that warmth back in there so we get a little bit of the glow. Shadows down right about there. Actually, the blacks is what I want to open up there a little bit. I'm going to take the shadows back down like that. And then I'm going to add that color back in there. That warmth. There we go. Much better. All right. All right. Now, actually, it's two more I'm going to do here. This is what I pretty much do to all my landscape photos. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a radial gradient right down here. This is where I want most of my attention, right down here into this canyon. So what I want to do is I want to brighten that up a little bit, not too much. Maybe bring those highlights down so we don't blow them out in that fog. Add a little bit of warmth. Let me see, we want to come down here to texture. Add some texture and some, we don't want to do too much clarity there, so let's go like right about there. Do the texture, and then there you go, there's that right there. And we're going to take another radial gradient. We're going to make it full size, pretty much. Just a little bit. Make that a little bit smaller there. And then what I want to do is I want to invert it. And then now I want to take the exposure and bring that down a little bit there. Let me see. Do I want to add some warmth back in there? Yeah, we can add some warmth back in there. Okay. And let me see, what else do we want to do? Dehaze. No, we want to do that right there. That's good. And then we're going to bring texture down, bring some clarity down a little bit. Now, the reason I use a radial filter instead of coming down over to, let me get out of this real quick. Instead of coming down to effects and then using the vignette that's here, okay, you have more control over what you can add or subtract when you're using a mask, okay? So with this mask right here, you can see that I have all this right here that I can do, and some stuff that I didn't even use here. So again, it works much, much better with that. As a matter of fact, what I want to do here is I want to come over to this first mask, and I want to open up the shadows just a little bit. Let me see, put that blue. And I'm going to add some exposure back into it a little bit there. And a little bit more blue. There we go. Okay. So, pretty much there you have it. Okay, let me go before. This is what the photo was. Okay, it was a raw file, Canon R5. Here's after. What a huge difference That you could do just in Lightroom. I mean, this is just Lightroom. Okay. So now I can always take it into some of my other plugins as well. I love using Luminar Neo as a plugin, and that really, really helps to do a lot of different things to it, because it has the one thing I like about Luminar is that it's got a couple of one-trick ponies in it that they work really good for what they do, but I don't like the way their color science is and the way it edits my photos if I start with a raw photo. Lightroom, I think, is the absolute standard, or Photoshop too, if you like to use Photoshop and Camera Raw. Either or, you can do the same things in both of them. But I tell you, Luminar it does have a few of their plugins in there. They're really, really, like Mystical is one that I love using for landscapes. Okay, I really, really do. So anyway, go out, take a lot of fall photos, enjoy it, enjoy the color. Don't forget to kind of step back and kind of look at how God painted our world. Because I tell you, if there's any artist that rules them all, it's our Lord and Savior. Okay, so let me tell you, the colors that come out in the fall, if you're lucky enough to live in the Northeast or anywhere in the world where the colors change, you are so blessed. So anyway, hopefully you enjoy the video. If you get a chance, please click and subscribe. And until next time, take care, everyone.